The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sharapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the book.
You covered 12. I covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sharapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into, this is a different look for the Bostonian versus the book. My name is Matt Perrault. We are live on our YouTube channel at Boston versus the book, and the same on Twitter and X at Boston versus the book. We're replayed on Sports Grid TV and channel 159 on Sirius XM. And this is a show that, it looks different. It's going to feel different. And in some ways it'll be different, but in a lot of ways it'll be very similar to what we always have done. So Dave's not here. We hope to be back as a twosome tomorrow. He is taking care of some things. He's not in Vegas at the moment, and we hope that he is back tomorrow. He may not be. We'll see how things are going to progress. I know for a lot of you, you've been asking a million questions. What is going on with the show? Why is the show off as much as it's been off? Why aren't you guys doing the show consistently? What happened? I'm not at liberty to tell you. It is not my story to tell. But when and if you guys do find out, and if Dave does decide to disclose what's happening, it's his story, then you'll understand. If he doesn't, just know that we're doing everything in our power to keep this show alive for as long as we can keep this show alive. And if that means that I'm going to be doing this like this for a while, so be it. And I'm perfectly comfortable doing that to give you guys a version of this show. I will say this, okay, about this show. I am a trained sports talk show host who has been trained to do solo content for the better part of 20 years. This is what I am comfortable doing. This is what I am used to doing. Me talking to you guys commenting, and then me playing off the comments. BvB is different because what Dave does and what Dave brings to this show cannot be replicated and cannot be replaced by anybody. So what he does for me is that oftentimes he keeps me on the rails. There's going to be some of you who are going to like a show like this because, I'm going to say things that might be a bit more inflammatory than what normally would go on. Dave keeps the temperature down. Dave tends to be the adult in the room in a lot of ways. And that's why this show works, because I can push him into places where he is uncomfortable going at times. And he can pull me back from the abyss. And I can also pull him forward and make him be more comfortable into certain situations that maybe we need to comment more on. So hopefully this is only temporary, and hopefully this is just a situation where it's just going to be me here for today, and Dave comes back tomorrow and Friday, and we keep rolling for a bit. But there will be changes coming to this show. Just going to be, I've been worried about how to approach this topic all morning. And I've been thinking to myself, how do I talk about this? You guys have invested so much time and energy into both Dave and I in this venture for 4 years that I had to at least tell you, warn you, give you a heads up that there are things going on right now that are absolutely bigger than this show. And this show may be looking a little bit different in the future. And it might be like this. It might be a taped version of the show. The show may not be live. I don't know, okay? And the unknown part of this is extremely scary for me, for my family, and the time that I have invested and spent on this show to know that there is some things going on that may be a little bit different. Change is always awkward. So for those of you guys who are here live, for those of you guys who are on the Discord channel, for those of you guys who are going to be here through this, I'm going to ask you guys to have patience with us as we go. And when And if the story is told, I think you'll understand. And I hope that you guys will still be here and still supporting us and be a part of this show. So I'm going to do the show solo today. Tomorrow, I don't know. Friday, I don't know. It's literally day by day at the moment as to how this is going to go. But if Dave can't do the show tomorrow, I'll be back here doing the show today. How I structure it, I don't know. Okay. Today, I went really guest heavy. We're going to talk to Pete Futek from College Football News about what the Big Ten and the SEC are doing because they're trying to literally stack the deck against everyone else from a CFP standpoint and go to 16 teams on top of that and make it really boring because all the drama, all the excitement, all the intrigue is going to be out of this thing because who wants to watch Iowa play Illinois for a bid to the college football playoff? Like what? So we'll get to Futek coming up at the bottom of the hour. At 2:45, Coach James Young, JY coming in. Knicks lose last night to the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton, superstar status yet? Does he get that tab yet after what he just did last night and how good he was? He's coming on the program. And then at 3 o'clock Eastern, top of the hour, you guys are going to get a really fun treat because Emerson Latzia has been an awesome guy for us from DK Sportsbook. He's been on a ton, but he had an incredible moment over the weekend at a concert called Boston Calling where him and his mom had been going to see Dave Matthews every single year together. And his mom is in hospice and he had a chance backstage to meet Dave Matthews. He's going to tell us about the story, the interaction and what went on and how special of a moment it was for him, his mom, for the two of them and the whole Latzia family and what Dave Matthews did. Just unbelievable. We got video of it. It's really, really cool stuff. So that's all coming up here for today. I don't know how long this show goes now. Like with Dave and I know how long the show goes. We've been doing it for 4 years. So like, I know how long we're going to spend on different topics. I know the rhythm and the cadence of how things are going to go. For this show, I don't know how long this show will go. Again, I did 4 hours by myself for years, but I had commercial breaks. So like, I have to watch the chat, which I'm sorry, until I learn how to do this by myself, where I can talk, put the guests on, run the show from behind the scenes. There is no producer. Okay. This is just me. I do all of this. So now there's no break. Like when I had Dave, I could throw the baton to Dave and then set something up and then bring it back. Right. Well, that doesn't exist for right now. And that doesn't, it's not going to exist. I'm not going to have a producer anytime soon, but I will get better looking at the chat, being able to follow the chat. But that was really what Dave did. Dave was the one that in the chat ran with it the most. So again, I will try my best to watch what you guys are doing and try my best to respond to how things are going. But I'm just going to tell you at the top here, like this is going to be a work in progress. And so it could be a little bumpy. Just, I apologize if things are screwed up, if the shot is weird or there's different things going on that doesn't, look how it's supposed to look. Just give me a couple of days. I'll figure it out. I'm a fast learner, but this is a lot with a lot of prep and a lot of things I had to get going to get used to this. And for day one, it's going to be a little awkward. Hopefully it gets easier as we roll. As we start the show, what happened, not just last night, but we were off for a bit. So what happened last night? Well, the Pacers decided to show up in big time form and the Knicks played well. They scored 121 points, but that was not enough last night as the Pacers take a commanding 3-1 lead and now have a massive moment for the franchise with a chance to go on the road to win at MSG. And it's crazy, but the Knicks on the road are a better team in the playoffs than they are at home in a lot of ways. They lost game 1 and 2 at home. Now they go home to game 5 where they have to try to keep their season alive. All 4 of the NHL, NBA Final Fours, both, if you want to call it that, the semifinal rounds, they're all 3-1. All of them are 3-1. That is not good for TV executives. Okay. Sure. Maybe one of them comes back. Maybe there's a shot that somebody rallies and like maybe the Dallas Stars are a team that could do that. More on them here in a second, but they lost yesterday in Edmonton. I don't know, but like it feels like we know what the finals are for both the NBA and the NHL already. And it's just a matter of time until we get there. The night belonged to Tyrese Halliburton, who went for a historic 32, 12, and 15. but it made it historic by the 0 turnovers he had. That's the first time that they have had that stat line for a player since we have started to track turnovers, which was 1977, year I was born. So that is a hell of a night for Tyrese Haliburton to go 32, 12, and 15. And what's crazy, yes, it was a playoff game, but for Haliburton, he's done this before. This is not the first time that Haliburton has had an amazing, amazing game. In fact, it's the 11th time in his career that he's had 15 or more assists and no turnovers. The NBA record is John Stockton with 14. Chris Paul, the Spurs, had it 13 times. He has more than Steve Nash. Muggsy Bogues being on this list is hysterical. But, I mean, Nash, Paul, and Stockton, Tyrese Haliburton now goes into that category. And I think we need to really start looking at how good this kid could wind up being coming out of Iowa State and just how good Tyrese Haliburton has been. And the fact that he was getting chanted at overrated earlier in these playoffs. That was on the road, but we kind of need to stop that. Like the Tyrese Haliburton idea that like this guy is not one of the best current guards in the NBA. We need to stop the idea that he's not of the upper elite and he's not somebody who's doing things in spectacular fashion that we just have to sit back and just go, oh my, like let him go. Let him play. It's amazing. The Knicks now have to come back and win 3 games in a row, 2 of those games being at MSG. Now, 15% of the time, NBA teams down 3-1 have come back and win. But do we really think the Knicks are going to do this? Like, does anybody really want to go ahead and bet the Knicks at plus 425? Like, seriously, who is betting the Knicks to win this series? They have to win 3 in a row, and the fact that they have home court is not beneficial. Like, that's not a good thing for the Knicks that they have home court. And what's crazy, and I know people can sit there and say that, like, I hate the Knicks and I hate New York and all those things are true. But we have to remember that after the second round series in which they beat the Boston Celtics, New York Knicks fans were in the streets celebrating like the series. They had already won the championship. And I asked Dave the morning after that happened. I asked him, I said, are you hanging a banner for a second round series? And he was like, well, of course not. So what were the Knicks doing? What were the fans at MSG doing? What were the fans outside? Everyone's like, let the Knicks have their fun. Yeah, let the Knicks have their fun. And then they went and did this. They put players, they renamed streets. They renamed Bleecker Street in Houston, or Houston Street, as you have to say it in New York, Houston Street, and 8th Avenue, and go ahead, and 3rd Street, Josh Hart, OG, Anunoby Alley. You know, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing with this? This is Looney Tunes. If you stop and think about what the Knicks actually accomplished, they haven't won a championship since 1973. And I understand that there's a lot of excitement that all the Knicks, and you got all these celebrities, Knicks in 5, all this stuff. You beat the Celtics. Awesome. I'm not downplaying that the Knicks were the better team in that series. They were. But they had 8 wins left before you celebrate a championship. 8. They're really, since then, they've won 1. Since they beat the Celtics, they have 1 win. And they had a historic collapse, a choke job of choke jobs. Maybe the worst choke in the history of the NBA in the postseason. So I just remind everybody that, like, this is Indiana's time. Like, everybody just said, like, it's the Pacers. Give me a break. It's the Knicks. They're going to roll over them. And they haven't. And last night was game 7. Last night, you had to win that game. I was on the Pacers, I laid the 2.5. I thought, you know what? The Pacers aren't losing back-to-back home games. Not in that building, not with this roster, not with Carlisle, the coach. They're not losing back-to-back home games to the Knicks. And they took a 3-1 lead. And the reason why teams come back down 3-1 oftentimes is you split game 1 and 2, and then you go on the road, you lose 3-4. But you have home court, right? You have home court. You win game 5. And as you win game 5, then you're going back. You got to win a game 6 on the road. You win game 6, you have game 7 at home. So that's how the 15%, that's how when they're down 3-1, that's how they come back. The Knicks aren't doing that. Thought. Like, that's not how this team's going to go, in my mind. They could very easily, excuse me, lose in 5, but maybe they win 5 and they go to 6, and then this thing wraps up in 6. But I don't see this. Like I don't see a Knicks team winning 3 games in a row. Even if Game 7's in New York, I don't trust the Knicks to win Game 7 in New York. Like the series is not over per se, but boy, 2-2 would have been a whole different conversation. 3-1, 3-1 is tough. 3-1 is really, really tough. All right. We'll get to hockey here on the other side. We'll get back to what happened last night in a little bit, but I want to talk college football because the SEC and the Big Ten, I don't know what's going on with this because they're trying to take all the joy out of the college football playoff era. They want 16 teams. They want 4 teams from the Big Ten. They want 4 teams from the SEC, and they want to play automatic qualifying games for teams that are outside of the conference championship. So 1v2, they're both in, but then 3 will play 6 and 4 will play 5 to get 2 other bids that will automatically put them into the college football playoff. I don't understand it. I don't like it. I got to ask Pete Futek, collegefootballnews.com, about all this as to what in the heck are we trying to do. Pete, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. I got to say, you and I have been talking college football for a long time. What are they doing? Why are they trying to wreck this?
You're right. They had it, and they have it now. And this is actually the 12-team system's actually a pretty good system. So you had to somehow take it out of the hands of the judges because you don't like it when you have, just a panel of people in Grapevine, Texas, trying to pick the beauty contest winners. Because, look, I mean, the College Football Playoff Committee, they kind of know college football. They're dignitaries. They're really trying. There's no behind the scenes like the Florida State thing a couple of years ago. Oh, they're out to get, SEC bias, all that. That's not them. They're really, truly trying to create the best tournament possible. They just don't quite know the sport as deeply as they probably should. So you do need some mechanism to get teams in. So the way they have it now, it's fine. The top 5 conference champions, you're in. So you got a way to play yourself in. And let's be honest here, the group of 5 conferences, like the Conference USA champion doesn't deserve really a spot. I mean, this isn't the NCAA tournament. This is football. It's a different animal. So it's always been Big Ten and SEC have been better than everyone else. And now they're just trying to make sure that more of their teams get in so they quit all the whining and crying. But yeah, it's not a good look.
It feels to me, Pete, like this is the precursor to the Big Ten and the SEC breaking away at some point in the next decade. That if they don't get what they want here, and I'm not sure why anybody would give them this unless they're threatened with, hey, we're going to leave unless you go ahead and give us this, and that might be on the table. But is that going to be the inevitable thing here where eventually it's just going to be the SEC and the Big Ten? We already have, LSU, Brian Kelly's saying, I want to play Big Ten teams. I want to play a 9-game schedule and 1 game every year against the Big Ten. Is that where we're headed?
Yeah, I'm looking this up on the fly so I get this right. The only reason it's not is because of Brian Kelly. Because you have to remember, part of this is if you are a team like Alabama, if you're a team like Ohio State, well, it's fun to win your conference, but it's such a provincial sport that who cares if you're not beating up on, someone from the other conferences. So unless you can establish your dominance over these other places, then it's just not as much fun. The problem with the idea of this too, that everyone kind of forgets is, let's go back to 2020, for example. In the 2020 football season, when you had all SEC teams playing all SEC teams and all Big Ten teams playing all Big Ten teams, out of the SEC at that point, you had 5 SEC teams that finished the year with winning records. Everyone else went 500 or worse. Like Tennessee went 3-7, South Carolina went 2-8. LSU went 5-5, Ole Miss went 4-5. So it sounds nice until you realize, what, part of the fun for college football fans is to go 10-2 and you beat Mercer on a random November, weekend, or you beat these, little sisters of cream puff pour and stuff. It's not, if you're Ole Miss and you got to play Georgia and Missouri and South Carolina and Auburn and all that, you're going to go 6-4 and not everyone's as happy about it.
Pete, it's interesting when you look at, okay, let's say they get their way. do we really want to watch like Iowa and Illinois play for a chance to make the college football playoff? Like, is this I know they want to dominate and they want to have 4 byes each and they want to have the most chances of getting into the national championship, as you know, this is our sport. You guys are just getting to play it because we're letting you play it type of thing. But is that interesting to you to watch the 3, 6, and 4, 5 teams play for automatic bids?
Yeah, I mean, it gets the fan bases fired up a little bit. But to your point, the crazy thing is it's not really necessary, because if you're going to expand to 16, which is where this thing is going, you're going to get 4 teams in if you're the Big Ten and you're the SEC. I mean, they're kind of searching for a solution, and there's no problem, whatever the line is for that, where there's no problem. I mean, because look, the College Football Playoff Committee they're still going to go by the College Football Playoff Committee rankings, and almost always they're going to take a 9-3 Bama or Michigan or someone like that over a 10-2, the 11-1 Liberty or someone. And so they're not going to be missing out. They just want to have their spots guaranteed. So on the one side, they don't really need to be doing this, and on our side, we really don't need to be whining about it, because the reality is they're going to probably be in there anyway.
When do you think this happens? As soon as they're able to? Like, are we going to 16? 2 years?
Probably 2 years. My guess is 2026. They'll figure this out, and they've been pretty adaptable. Again, they made the tweak this year to kind of do it a little bit better, where you're going by the seeds, so you don't get the Oregon problem where, hey, you're the number 1 overall seed in this thing, and for your reward you get a neutral site game against Ohio State. Congrats. So I mean, remember, this is a different sort of tournament. So even with 16, you're still talking about only like 13% of all college football teams are going to make it in, as opposed to like 35% of all college basketball teams get into the NCAA tournament, and half of all the pro teams get in. 60% of NBA teams make the playoff if you count the play-in. So it's still hard to do. But yeah, I think 16 is kind of the way to go. And you're going to see first-round blowouts, and that's okay. But the other part of this thing is going to be, we have to remember, for all the crying and the whining about who's going to get that 15th or 14th seed, you're never going to see a Boise State win this thing. You're never going to see, Butler for a few years ago in the NCAA tournament, where you get hot and all of a sudden you're in the national championship with a shot. You're just not going to win that many games in a row. It's just the sport is built for the killers, the Ohio States, the Alabamas, the LSUs, the major teams are always going to keep winning this thing. But all you're asking, if you're, like Boise State of last year or Indiana, is just to get a shot, and they got it.
You mentioned the changing of the seeding, and the AD for Boise State is calling this the Boise State rule, to make sure that that never happens ever again, where Boise State gets a bye. Is that fair? Is that why they had to make this change?
They had to make the change because it wasn't quite fair that Arizona State and Boise State were in the top 4 and got such a massive gift, for playing in lesser conferences. And, look, if the idea behind creating a tournament is, I get the reward. The reward is you're in the tournament. I mean, having the automatic bid in there, I would actually prefer seeing, like, look, if you're going to have 16 teams in, I'd actually expand it to 6 teams, that 6 conference champions. Like, okay, fine. So like a Jacksonville State last year or a Marshall gets in or something, and you get annihilated. But that's your reward for the 1 or 2 seed, is that you get to just thunder dunk on these, guys who get thrown a cookie and get in the tournament. But that I'd almost rather see than that. So if you're Boise State, no, they weren't they weren't the number 3 or 4 team in the country. And it just, as it turns out, they weren't. And it just meant an extra game for everyone else.
Pete, college football fans are very schedule oriented. They look at when their team is playing. They go ahead and plan out vacations. I mean, I worked in the South. I know that weddings get planned out based upon games and opponents. They know that, okay, we can't do it then. We can't do it here because of this going on. It feels like Fox's big noon kickoff is like the biggest problem in college football. They're like, nobody wants to play on it. Everybody wants to get off of it, but it's Fox's answer to College Game Day and ESPN. So like, what's the future of that time slot for Fox?
God, I do not get it. Basically, it is the oh dear God, what the heck else am I going to do with the rest of my day thing? If you're one of these schools and my day's spent around tailgating and getting really drunk, and then look, we've killed one Saturday there. Now we have to we after that, if you do that, what do you have to do? Just go to the bars or something and watch other games? I've never quite understood it. I get that it feels like a disrespect factor that, oh, we're on the big. By the way, I'm going to ruin this for you. And all the promos, try not to hear big nude kickoff. Whenever they say it, it just comes across weird. But whenever you get the big nude kickoff, it's like, okay, fine. They try to make it the showcase game. Everyone kind of watches, and you have the wake and bake crowd on the West Coast who are going to wake up, turn it on, and watch. And East Coast, you get the game going. As for me as a fan, it's like great. You have a great game right out of the gate, as opposed to like Boston College versus Virginia or something. So, but like you said, it is kind of a disrespect factor. Everyone wants their little whiteouts. Everyone wants the late game. But the problem with that is all these games at the end of the day, yeah, you might have the nice time slot, but lots of other big West Coast games, especially now the Big Ten has such a foothold in the West Coast, you're still going to get overshadowed a bit where your early game's going to be on there. But you're right. I've never quite understood why people get so grouchy about this, but college football fans are looking for anything to cry and whine about.
Well, it's mostly Ohio State, is it not? Like they keep on stopping this. Like Fox keeps on saying, wait a minute, you're the defending national champs. We have this time slot. We've got the Big Ten deal. You're playing when we want you to play. And Ohio State's like, no, we want veto power. We don't want, what's the problem with playing at 12 o'clock Eastern? Is it just because it's too early for their fans?
And let me throw a flip side. I actually don't know the schedule well enough to know, but let's say they do get a Washington or a USC or a UCLA playing in big noon kickoff there, and all the circadian rhythm stuff. You're getting these West Coast teams are going to have to get up and get going at 5 o'clock in their body clock times, and that's screws them up. So it's actually kind of an advantage for them a little bit. But no, it's a respect factor. It's like, oh, we should have the prime time slot all the time. Everyone wants a little bit more, and everyone wants to be the king of their own castle and all that kind of stuff. It's just fine, whatever. Now the difference being also is, if you're in the South, I get it, because the crazy part, if you're is legitimately a problem where if you're in Alabama, half the seats are in the sun,
right,
for half the game. And if it's 119 degrees down there, you literally can't sit in these seats in some of these southern schools for some of these games, at least early on. So you do want, that's why LSU plays night games, because it's a little bit cooler when it's so swampy down there. So there is legitimate reasons somewhat, but I'm disrespected, that's Ohio State fans won the national title and they're still like, oh yeah, but we lost to Michigan. Ohio State fans are like that.
Pete, we can get here on this. So we know that 16 of the last 20 champions have been a Big Ten or an SEC school. Alabama had a very rare, awful year last year, but I covered Alabama when they ran through coaches like towels in a house of mine when it comes to taking showers. I saw Mike Price. I saw Mike Dubose. I saw, Dennis Francione.
You blinked and you saw that Mike Price era.
Yeah, I saw them all. Okay, I saw how fast Bama can move off of a coach when they're not winning. Kalen DeBoer, how much pressure is on him this offseason, and what is the outlook for the Crimson Tide next year?
Look, they didn't show up against Oklahoma. That was the real damning game. I mean, the fact that they lose, they struggled early on, that they weren't quite as good. All right, it's a new coach. It's a new system. Eventually, he's going to get the guys there that fit what he does. And Jalen Monroe, for being a great deep ball thrower, somehow it didn't click as much as it should have, and that offense just did not fly. It's Kalen DeBoer. They succeeded at Fresno State. He was great outside the box. Washington, with Michael Penix Jr., went to a national championship with that attack. The offense is going to work, but that's life in the SEC. I mean, you can only miss once or twice. Now, as long as you're going 10-2, you're all right. But he'll be fine. But you're right. In a place that's used to winning all these games, it's like, well, fine. What's your other option? It's everyone who always complains about, oh, well, our coach isn't doing enough. He only won 9 games, or he won 10 games. Right? Well, who's the guy who's going to be? It was my Jim Harbaugh argument for years with Michigan. Fine. Who's that guy who's going to come in and win you national championships here? Is it Dabo? Is that who they kind of wanted for a while? I actually think it's Lane Kiffin. But who are you going to get if it's not Kalen DeBoer? But winning 9 games should be pretty good for anybody. It's certainly not good enough for Alabama.
Pete, where can folks follow you on collegefootballnews.com? And what do you guys have cooking this summer to get folks ready for that?
All previews. Now it's the word. We're doing all the exams, all the research, everything about to get these essays done, to get all the previews, have to figure it all out, and then we sort it out come July and August. So right now it's team by team previews every single day. We got 2 or 3 going up, and deep dives into each team. And if you are a bettor, we kind of show you why you should use the win totals when they are. Because right now is the time to make money. If you're a win total player, this is when you can kind of figure it out a little bit. And again, going back to schedules, figure out the schedules, figure out who's coming back. Not that hard.
How long have you been doing collegefootballnews.com now?
1998 is when this thing started. It's been a way long time, yes. So I challenge anybody, knowing the history of the planet, has written more words about college football than I have. There's just no possible way that is done. So I will take that claim.
Because I found your site in 2000 when I started covering Virginia, is when I first found your website, because I had worked with a website that was covering. They told me about your site and said, hey, they were doing a bunch of stuff for Virginia. They're like, hey, check out this site. It's awesome. And that was 25 years ago. So congrats on the success. Love talking with you. We'll get there later on in the summertime. Appreciate your time today, Pete.
Anytime. You have a great one.
That is Pete Futek, collegefootballnews.com. We roll from college football straight into the NBA and what happened last night to Coach Young's New York Knicks. What's up, JY? Welcome back to BvB. Thanks for being here.
It's truly amazing that all of a sudden the Knicks lose, and all of a sudden Matt's like, "Oh, JY, you want to jump on? You want to jump on and talk?" It's always great to be on with you, my friend, even after a Knicks loss. How you doing? It's actually better without you. This is me and you, no Sharapan. So we can actually get more words out. I like this.
Yeah, we can roll this way. All right. So I love talking to you about the game and how the game is played, because what Halliburton did yesterday, we've seen it before. It wasn't like the first time anybody had an unbelievable game without any turnovers, but a triple-double, 32 points, 14 assists, 12 boards, and 0 turnovers. From a game perspective, just how good was that last night in your mind for Halliburton?
Matt, it was one of the best performances I've ever seen out of a point guard. To go 30 points, 15 plus assists, 10 plus rebounds, and the biggest thing, 0 turnovers, and a team that plays up and down the way they did. Take me out as a Knicks fan. As a basketball purist, I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed watching this kid play. And you love the fire. You love how he plays. The only thing you kind of wish for is he's not so up and down, right? But when he's in control, and he's playing like this, he's the best player in the series. I don't want to hear anything about fucking Jalen Brunson. He's the best player. I'll be honest. He's the best player in the series. Now, Brunson will bring it every game, whether he plays well or not. Halliburton kind of comes and goes when he pleases. If he plays like this, they could give the Thunder a little bit of a run because of the fact that he could control the game and get people shots but he also, the problem that I think they're going to face, and I think they're going to have a bigger problem facing Oklahoma City than if the Knicks find a way to come back. Here's why. Because of the fact of guarding Oklahoma City with their size, right? They're guarding Brunson. Brunson's 6'1" on a good day, right? SGA is 6'5". Jalen Williams is 6'5", and he can jump out of the gym. It's completely different than Jalen Brunson. And it won't be as easy for an Aaron Naismith to bump Brunson off his spots and bother him because SGA is just physically stronger and can bump him off the ball as he goes to it. But that should not be taken away from what Tyrese Halliburton did last night, Matt, because it was absolutely beautiful to watch how this kid played.
Do you have... Because the Knicks were asked this question a lot in the post game, and I watched both what Tibbs said and what Brunson said. They won the rebounding battle last night. They won some key stats that they went into saying, hey, we have to win this category.
Don't matter. They lost the one that mattered. Turnovers. That's what it comes down to, Matt. And you're a very, I know we bust each other's balls about the Knicks and the Celtics, but I really respect your opinion because you know ball, you know it. Indiana, and they gave away the game plan. They said after game 3, we played too slow in the second half. We played too slow in the second half. We're going to push the pace. If you took the under in that game, or took the under in the Pacers or the Knicks, you were fucking stupid because they told you exactly what they were going to do, and they were going to run. And who fell into the trap? John Starks 2.0, which is Josh Hart. And I say that with love because besides Ewing, Starks was my favorite player, but he was also the most infuriating guy. And Hart, between getting beat on backdoor cuts, fouls, and turnovers, he probably gave away 20 points on his own last night. So you can win the rebounding war. You can only lose by 3 points to the 3-point line. You can outshoot them. It don't matter. If you lose a turnover battle and you get that team out in transition, they'll burn you with dunks and they'll burn you with threes. And that's what they did last night.
I need to know from a coaching standpoint what you have seen in the development of Aaron Nesmith, because when the Celtics traded him away for Malcolm Brogdon, Celtics fans were running through the streets going, oh my God, we got someone who can actually play. Because Nesmith, even though he was taken in the top 15 of the draft, under the Celtics coaching staff and development, he looked like he should be doing anything else but playing NBA basketball. He gets to Indiana. I did not see this coming, and the way he has played in this series last night, the way he played in game 3. What have you seen from a development standpoint for Nesmith?
You know what it is? Someone needs to give Rick Carlisle his fucking flowers. Like, we need to give him his flowers. Let's just call it what it is. Listen, you sit there and we talk about best coaches of this generation. Talk about Pop. Talk about Kerr. Talk about Spoelstra, right? You talk about, Malone. You talk about Doc. You talk about Mazzulla. You talk about Ime, right? You talk about Tibbs, what he's done with the Knicks. You talk about Nick Nurse. You talk about Jason Kidd. You talk about Bud. I named 10 guys, and we don't talk about Carlisle. And this guy, and Matt, what's beautiful about him to watch, and I'm going to get excited as a coach, he has evolved as a coach, right? From the, I got the dominant stretch forward Dirk, and I get myself a point guard in Jason Kidd, to now I'm going to go to Indiana, and I got to take a look at my roster, and I got to develop them and play them in a way that elevates their game. Aaron Nesmith, Obi Toppin, Ben Shepherd. You can look at how he's kind of transformed and elevated Tyrese Halliburton. This guy has done is he's ready, folks. And listen to me, Tom Thibodeau. He believes in his roster and he develops them. And instead of sticking the old school, like, no, this is the way I coach, this is the way I put this. He's like, okay, this is what I got. Let me manipulate this into a way that works for me and my team. And he has done a fucking masterful job. And I hope this guy finally gets the credit that he deserves. He's one of the best to do it the last 25 to 30 years.
Coach, let's switch to tonight, where the Thunder are trying to make the NBA Finals in front of their home crowd. The number is 8.5, depending on what you're looking at here for tonight. I have a hard time seeing the Timberwolves walking into this building where they've already been blown out twice.
No fucking shot.
Right? They're getting killed tonight, right?
They're getting rolled.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, folks. I would lay the 8.5.
I did, yeah.
No problem. I'm laying it. But here's the thing. At some point, Matt, you know where I'm going with this. When that game is tight, they're going to fucking throw a knockout punch. They do it every time. They did it, if you look at the first 2 games at home, they did it fourth quarter game 1. They did it third quarter game 2. It was the 15-2 run when they game 7 against Denver. Matt, when they throw that punch, be ready to jump on them. So if that game is tight, right? If it's tight at halftime and they come back with it like, 4.5, 5.5, I am running to the window again. I will double down on it because here's the thing. They are so good at being with their absolute, which is their defensive intensity. And they just got to figure out, okay, where are we going? Where's the matchup? Is it SGA? Is it Jalen Williams? Is it Chet? Is it the push floater to Hartenstein? Is it Caruso and Wallace and these guys, Isaiah Joe and these guys off the bench? They find where the matchup is, and then they whip your ass. At some point, they're going to blow this game open because on the other side, let's be honest, Matt, Minnesota in their starting five, they're playing 3-on-5 offensively. Conley can't do it. Neither can Rudy. So if you want to look at props, I'm going to go 14.5 for Naz Reid because they're going to need him to give him big minutes. He's over 3 straight games. He's over 9 out of 12 versus OKC. And they may get Rudy off the floor so fucking fast that you could get to the top of the Eiffel Tower before this guy is going to get off the floor. I like Rudy not to play well. I like Naz Reid over 14.5 points, those rebounds. I'll go points, rebounds, and assists with Isaiah Hartenstein because he may have to come back going against Naz Reid.
I've kind of double dipped in a way because I've played the under team total for the T-Wolves of 106.5. I don't think they're scoring a lot of points tonight, Coach. Do you?
No, they're gonna be, and then they put Caruso in the game, and they put Lou Dort on him.
Yeah,
and then SGA takes him.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like when you look at Minnesota, they have to figure out how to get better. And I love Mike Conley. I mean, I think he's been a great pro. They got to get a better point guard that can facilitate and give the ball Ant in spots where it's one dribble, boom, pull up. It's not give it to Ant. You got to go get your bucket. They got to go find a way to get a better point guard to play with Ant in the future because as much as I love Mike Conley, he's not it anymore.
Do you have any issues with the way, or at least the demeanor, if Anthony Edwards is going to be the next face of the league or is a face of the league, or however you want to describe what Ant is at the moment, we know how talented he is, but he was unable or unwilling to at least acknowledge that game 4, he was bad. He didn't show up. He didn't take shots. He wasn't looking for shots. He was just shut down completely by this defense by OKC. And he was saying, I played within the frame of the game. I did what was supposed to happen. You have any issues with your star player not acknowledging he played poorly?
I have a little bit, but I also got to remember this kid's 23. We keep comparing him to SGA. SGA is 26. He's 23 years old. And I want to address something really quick.
Yeah.
This whole fucking thing of Kendrick Perkins of you got to be married and no one gives a fuck about that. Allen Iverson was complaining about not going to practice. Magic was having women with 6 different women at the same time and got HIV. Charles Barkley was throwing people through bar windows and spitting on people in New Jersey. Kobe was having an affair and had a rape trial. LeBron James, okay, but he's a little bit of a jerk off himself by running from team to team. So don't sell me on the face of the league has got to be this upstanding citizen. Hell fucking no. You know what the best player got a league got to do? Win. Win. When you win, they don't give a shit. Michael Jordan had women, and it's known he had women in every fucking city. By the way, shout out to Michael Jordan having a side piece in every city. That's fantastic. I mean, he made me the GOAT just for having that. God bless him. But don't sell me on this. You got to be this upstanding personal citizen that's great in order for you to be the face of the league. No, you don't. You just have the ball. The problem with our country is right now is Jason Tatum is hurt. We don't know if it's Ant, right? Cooper Flag is way too young. We don't know he's there. Kyrie told you that the world is flat. KD is old. LeBron is done soon. So is Steph. And we're looking around and saying, oh, fuck, who is the face of this country's basketball? When you look at the NBA and you see Joker, Giannis, SGA, Wemby, and Luka, and you could argue going into next year, the 5 best players in the NBA are all international. We need to find our American star. Maybe it could be Ant.
Ooh. All right, get you out here in this, Coach. There's obviously going to be a lot of movement in the offseason. Boston's going to be a big factor in all of that because they have to get under the second apron. So they're going to be trading probably Drew Holiday, Porzingis. The roster's going to look a lot different. But in the East, if Giannis does get traded, where do you want him to go? Is it San Antonio? Would you trade the second pick overall if you were, would that work for you in terms of a package, including that if you're the Bucks? Are you really trading Giannis if you're Milwaukee?
I don't understand where with San Antonio, where Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper fit into their team.
Oh,
I don't know where they fit. I know people are saying that the Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox backcourt's going to work, the three of them. I don't see it. I don't, because who's the shooter out of the three of them? It's neither of them. And I don't know if Ace brings it as well, especially the fact that Ace Bailey, who we thought was 6'10", measured at 6'7.5" at the combine, which kind of messed him up a little bit. Which also I think that it's going to be weird what happens with 2, because I think Philadelphia may move 3.
Oh,
if they lose tomorrow, you will get the Giannis in New York talk. And Giannis did last week come out and say, "What's your favorite city to play in and on the road?" And he said New York. And every Knicks fan was like, "Oh shit! Like we lose it, we make it Giannis." And you know, but Shams reported this. And listen, after what happened with Luka, Matt, if anyone gets traded this offseason, I ain't gonna be fucking surprised.
Anyone,
right?
Really?
Anyone. I mean, listen. Giannis is probably gonna get moved, right? Okay. I think Denver is gonna have to break up that court. So someone between Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray are gonna get moved. If the Knicks flame out, they're gonna move some pieces to try and go get a superstar. Pat Riley's been way too quiet. He's been trying to land something for years. He's gonna make a move. Right? LeBron's going to opt out. Does LeBron look around and say, if I really want to get another ring, it ain't going to be here. I got to go somewhere else to get it. Kevin Durant, do you do that? Phoenix Suns, they have no draft assets until like the next time fucking Haley's Comet shows up. So they may have to trade Devin Booker. You don't know what it's going to be, Matt, but I tell you this, it's going to be a lot of fucking fun. And really quick before I let you go, because I know I have to go and I know you have another guest. I want to say this to people. The WNBA now fucked up because they put Caitlin Clark on 34 out of their 40 games, and she's out the next 2 to 3 weeks. So those ratings are going into the fucking toilet for the next 2 to 3 weeks. You got to be careful with that. Number 2 at the WNBA. I don't care what anybody says. I'll get all the smoke. Chicago Sky, they're the worst fucking team in the league. They can't shoot. Their suit's too old to be playing 35 minutes. Angel Reese can't make a layup. And they don't have no shooting around her to get her going. 3, Vegas Aces are not going to be as good as people think. Yeah. I don't like the Jewel Lloyd, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray backcourt. It's too small. They can't defend. And as long as you have Kia Stokes in the pivot, Nafisa Collier, John Paul Jones will eat her for fucking lunch. Number 4, Liberty are the best team in the league, but right there with them is Minnesota. I think Joe Reeves, they're angry. They're pissed off. They thought they should have won that game. It's a questionable goal towards the end of regulation of Game 5. They put I think it put Stewie to the foul line. That's how they got the lead. There's a lot of people that think that Minnesota could be it. Team to surprise, Phoenix. They're up and down. I love Satu Sabali with Alyssa Thomas. Big comeback win last night. We know once they get Kalia Copper going, they're going to be set. And a fun team to watch. I know they lost a couple in a row. The Mystics, that young core with Ariathan, with Edwards, with Sonia Citron, with the fact that they're so young, they're going to be a little bit better than people think as well.
JY, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. We'll get you on during the finals, I'm sure. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your time.
Well, you know what? The best part? No fucking sheriff pants. So it was a great show. See you, buddy.
Guys, take care. It's Coach James Young joining us here on the Post Tony versus the Book. We bring on our one and only Emerson Lazia from DK Sportsbook, who is out. Dave's not dead. What are we doing? He's okay.
No,
I miss you, Dave. He's okay. He's not, he's
no, Dave's dead.
No,
Dave is dead. I really miss Dave. I think he's just sad that I have slacked a little bit on sending you guys sauna pictures, and that's on me because I stopped bringing my phone into the sauna.
Oh, that is such a shame. Yeah,
no, it's weird. I'm into reading books now, which
in the sauna.
I read books. I put my pods in so no one talks to me unless they want to show me something. And so I don't bring the phone in anymore. Yeah, I've got some weird pictures on there that could probably get me arrested.
I'm guessing.
You're aware?
Yeah, I'm probably aware of some of that. We've seen them.
Love it, buddy.
in our group thread. All right, I wanted to bring you on because to get serious for a second. We've obviously been following what's been going on with your mom. Explain to the audience what Dave Matthews has meant to you and your mom, and I mean it's a really cool thing how music can bring people together and families. But you and your mom have something. I think it's really cool what you and your mom have done around Dave Matthews.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. My mom is one of my best friends, and since I was 13, she and I have been going to Dave Matthews concerts every year. The one stop that we would typically make every year is in West Palm Beach. We've been to Tampa. We've been to up to Scranton. We've been all over the country together to see him. We've seen him more than 50 times together. It's like our yearly tradition. It was awesome because back when I was like drinking, she was a phenomenal designated driver and would always get me home safe. Actually, we would always swing through the McDonald's drive-thru on the way home. She's like, "The hell's wrong with you? Why do you eat so much?" I'm like, "Mom, it's called marijuana." Anywho, so yeah, Mom, we haven't been to a concert together. So I know my post said 5 years. It's actually been, I think, 6 because she had shoulder surgery back in like 2018. And then she's been sick since like 2020. And, doctors originally thought it was pancreatic cancer. They've cut her open multiple times and they can't seem to find what is ailing her. And now she, like half of her organs have been, half of them have been sliced like in half. Major complications following all these surgeries. I've been called down multiple times from Boston saying, "Hey, you need to get down here. Mom's about to die on the table." There was one time I was trying to fly back to Boston from Jacksonville, and they said to me, I was literally walking down the jetway to get on the plane, and I got a call from Dad saying, "Hey, you got to come back. I think she's going to die again." I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" So yeah, it's been a lot for my family. We have not been to a concert together in the last 5 years. Okay, so he was here, and I haven't been to one at all because I thought it was weird. It was always like my tradition with my mom,
Yeah.
And so, before the concert, he was the last last guy to perform the Dave Matthews Band on Sunday night at Boston Calling, 3-day music festival there on the Harvard campus. One of my best friends, one of my good friends here in town is a Harvard cop. And I've met a few other Harvard cops through him, and they're all working the event. They knew the story of my mom. And I was thinking, man, it'd be awesome if I could find him and ask him if he could send some well wishes to my mom. I know it would mean a lot. My mom hardly ever gets out of bed. She's been mostly bedridden the last 5 years, and she hardly ever smiles. Like she doesn't talk a whole lot. And so I was able to, they put me in a position to succeed. My friends there at Harvard. And so during the last song, I got in the backstage, and it was only my wife and I and a bunch of security. So it wasn't like groupies and stuff like that you see in the movies and a bunch of, chicks and dudes trying to do weird stuff to each other. And so Dave, a couple of the members of the band, Carter, others coming off, getting into their own shuttles. Dave's coming down the stairs, and my wife's like,
wait, where were you guys for the concert? For the actual concert, where were you? Were you
for the actual concert? We were out and about in the front. We're
okay.
I'm a man of the people.
Okay.
So I'm out there and enjoying.
How was
it.
the show?
And yeah, the show was kick ass, dude.
I mean, you've seen him so many times, so like,
the show is.
I've seen him a bunch of times. I mean, but like I haven't seen him in a festival setting like that. Yeah. So sometimes it could be a little bit different.
It was fucking awesome, Matt, because also it's the only Massachusetts stop. Like he's not playing Xfinity in Mansfield like he typically does every summer. I think he was like, "This is my Massachusetts stop." So like he went all out. He played some classics, played a couple new ones, which I'm glad it was only a couple. I'm not the biggest fan of his new album, but
right.
He was coming off the stage in the back, Matt, and
well, hold on. I mean, we have it. We have it.
Oh shit. Hey, Mom, I got the one and only Dave Matthews here now. And
Moby, all the best and all the strength you need whenever you need it. Okay?
We love you, Mom. Thank you, Dave. Guy was like, "I'm getting the hell out of here."
No, but I mean, look at that's 30 seconds of his day, right? But what does that mean to you and your family? That and what did it mean to your mom to get that video sent?
It was Matt, like multiple times during the concert, I was brought to tears because it just, I don't know, man, all these songs remind me of all these memories that I have with my mom. And I was like, my heart was pumping throughout the entire concert because I was like, I have to do this. I have to do this. I'll never have an opportunity where someone can get me backstage and no one's going to be back there. and this is it. Like, I cannot puss out. And so when we are back there, he finally is coming off the stage. And again, my heart is racing. And I'm like, I have to do this for my mom. I cannot be a vagina. And so my wife like pushes me like out there. And I'm kind of walking parallel to Dave to his shuttle. And I'm like, hey, Dave. And then his security guy like stiff arms me. I wasn't upset. I was like, I went back there thinking nothing was going to happen. I mean, the guy's just doing his job, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And so Dave then stops and he says, no, I'll talk to him real quick. I mean, he had no idea who the hell I was, even though I got him on FaceTime with my mom in the public garden 9 years ago. But I said to him, hey, listen, got you on FaceTime with my mom 9 years ago in the public garden. She's a huge fan. She and I have been going to concerts since I was 13. I'm old now. I'm 41. We haven't been to one in the last 5 years. She's been super sick. Would you mind just sending her some well wishes? He goes, absolutely. What's her name? Moby. And I just started recording, did the introduction. Yeah. He kind of jumped in, took it, which I was like, fuck yeah. Cause I probably would have talked for a fucking minute. I was so nervous, dude. And then he took off after that. And it was such an incredibly kind gesture that like, I again started tearing up. I get very emotional when I talk about my mom because I love her to death. And hugging Meg, and I sent it to my family group chat. It was 10:30. It was 2 hours past my bedtime. Everyone in my family's been in bed probably since 7:30. So the next morning I call her on FaceTime and I'm just like, I'm tearing up. I'm crying again. And she smiled, and to see her smile like that was awesome because I know how much it meant to her. And it was such a fucking incredible gesture by Dave to just stop and give 10 minutes or 10 seconds of his time. Like that's going to be in my mom's head. Because do I pray and hope that one day she and I will be able to go to a concert again together? Absolutely. Is it a realistic possibility? Probably not. So that is something I've been wanting to do for her for so long because I know how much his music means to her and how much those moments of her and I kind of road tripping around the country together, seeing these shows and me being a drunken weirdo and her taking care of me and making sure I don't get arrested. So,
and those memories are so special. But what I love for you is that, there's cameos, right? So you could like, I don't know if Dave's on Cameo or not. But
he's not. I've looked into that. Only Boyd Tinsley, his former violinist, who was like stuck in the dude's toes, which is why he's no longer part of the band. And I'm like, I don't know. That's the one toe sucker,
right? To do it. Yeah. That's not probably the wrong guy.
There's nothing wrong with that. You just got to get people's permission before you do it.
So like my ex-wife we bonded over the Lemonheads, who's a Boston-based band. So I had Evan Dando go ahead and record something, and I said to my ex-wife for one of her birthdays, and I was like, "Man, you're in that video." Like the difference between like having a cameo where it's just somebody like recording into their phone of like, "Hi, John, how are you? This is Evan Dando, or this is Dave Matthews." You were in that video too, and that's what I think is so damn cool with it. Is that was spur of the moment. That wasn't a paid thing. That wasn't a job for Dave Matthews. He could have walked right past you and said, "Hey man, I'm tired. I just played for 90 minutes here.
Again,
I'm good."
Totally expected that.
You would have been like, I think I'm good, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They had, that was they started their tour the night before somewhere in New York. I think they were going to Syracuse like the next day. I'm like, this guy has a job to do. Like he's entertaining everybody. I went back there. I said, he's probably going to say no, to which I would not be upset. I'd be obviously sad, but totally up to him. Yeah. And he did it. And then I found out like this video has fucking blown up. Like it's on the DMB Gorge crew. The Gorge out in Washington, it's a classic stop for him on tour. It's usually where he ends his tour every year. And it's a huge fan group, name of fan group as well. They have shared it, and it is everywhere. And to see the kind words people have for just like my mom, because I get in so many like deep funks sometimes thinking, man, like I left a concert with her one time and didn't realize it was the last time I'd ever go to a concert with her. Like I start getting funks, but I'm able to process my emotions like a little more. And then I found out through that group, Dave's mom has recently passed away. So I think maybe once I kind of mentioned my mom, that may have a role in it. Yeah. And so, again, that 10 seconds is going to live forever for my family, for my mom. And again, we don't get to see her smile a lot, like much anymore. And so to see her smile, buddy, it was fucking waterworks. Like
That is.
I'll admit, I cry a lot. I love to cry. I've been told I'm a cute crier. And that night and the next day, well, there were some tears, buddy. There were some serious tears.
I mean, the first time I saw Dave Matthews, he opened up, he opened for Fish. And I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, this band could. And then I saw them at Great Woods at the time. Now it's called, I don't know what it's called now. It's changed like 15 times. It was Tweeter Center, and now it's whatever it's called. But it was called Great Woods. And he played for 3 hours, and he played 15 songs, and I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah.
Like
oh my God, I love that. He plays like these 20-minute songs. You just jam.
That ain't my gig. Like, I am not a jam band.
That's
fan.
okay. Are you going to tell people? Didn't you meet him at a Buffalo Wild Wings?
Well,
so the other day.
So ended up happening is after I saw him in high school when he played on the Table and Dreaming tour, and then I worked in Virginia, and I knew he was from Charlottesville. And so one of the first Buffalo Wild Wings was in Charlottesville, Virginia. So it's where it started, or it's in Virginia somewhere. And my client was there, and I walked in, and the guy who owned the bar was like, "Come meet Dave Matthews." And I was like, okay. And I just went back there and like, I just kind of sat there with the three of them, and they were talking. And I was like, I was like 21 years old. I was petrified to go. I was like,
you're
so
scared, dude.
I was scared to death. But like he was a super nice guy then, but he wasn't anywhere near what he is now. I mean, talking about one of the greatest, singer, songwriter, guitar players ever. And Dave Matthews, and the albums and the hits and the music that he has created over the years. I mean, he does some really cool stuff now where like he'll go and play solo shows, just him and his guitar. And it's just, I've seen videos of it and I've watched videos of it. And like his music is so iconic. And to find out that I've read stories that he's a good dude. And I've read stories that he's a family man. And he to know it now, that's really cool to know it. Like, not just some media person's opinion, like actually to see him do something that was so small but meant so much to you is pretty cool.
Yeah,
as a fan, that's got to feel pretty good to go like, all right, the guy's not an asshole.
Yeah, no, and again, I met him back in 2016. It was the Public Garden. It was a Thursday night, and I was looking through my pictures the other day. It was 7:57 p.m. on a Thursday night. I remember it was a cool June evening, so like the garden was kind of empty because it was kind of a grayish day. And he was playing Mansfield the next night. So he was just walking around with, looked like to be some bigger guys who were probably like his bodyguards and shit like that. And a couple other members of the band. But I stopped him like at that moment. And because again, my mom's been a huge fan. She's always wanted to meet him. And she was healthy then. She was just back home down in Florida. And so I was like, bro, you mind if I get my mom on FaceTime with you? And he's like, yeah, like no problem. I dial her up. She doesn't answer. I'm like, son of a bitch, Mom. Like, this isn't going to happen again. I dial her.
That would be you, by the way. That would be you.
I'm bored. Thank you. I dial her immediately right after. She answers. I show her Dave, and she goes, holy shit. And like, she talks like me. She talks like a sailor. And he's like, this is your mom? And I'm like, yeah, dude, that is my mom. And they had a nice conversation on the phone for, maybe like a minute or so. And it was just super, super kind of him. And there's a lot of really cool stories about him just vibing with fans. And I really appreciate it. It was really, really heartfelt. And it's and have it on video. It's going to last forever. I'm always going to remind my mom when she's in a funk and I'm down visiting her. I'm going to say, hey, remember this moment? Like this was cool as shit. Like this guy's thinking about you, Mom.
I want to play it one more time on the way out because in case folks came in.
Yeah, do it. You won't do it, coward. Hey, Mom, I got the one and only Dave Matthews here now. And
Moby, all the best and all the strength you need whenever you need it. Okay?
We love you, Mom. Thank you, Dave.
And of course, the DraftKings sweatshirt. Good job out of you to wear the company brand.
Yeah, dude, it was actually kind of chilly. Like some people are like, why the hell is Dave in a jacket and a scarf? Because it was like 50 degrees by the time he went on. I was still wearing shorts though, because I let I'm the quad father. I let these things just hang out. I let everything dangle. So yeah, just as long as the top's warm, I'm always gonna be party on the bottom.
Listen, man, I'm so happy that you got that moment. Thank you for sharing that with us. Our best to your mom, obviously. Hopefully,
when's Dave's funeral?
Stop it. We'll talk more to you later about it. Thank you for coming on, E. We'll talk soon, man.
I got to text him. I do have a fresh shirtless pic I got to send you and Dave from when I was in Puerto Rico for Samir's bachelor party a couple weeks ago. So I'll send that to you guys right now.
Sounds good. Looking forward to seeing it. You're the best, my friend. Take
I
care.
love you, BvB.
Take care. It's Emerson Lazia joining us here on the Bostonian versus the book here on BvB. Great to get him on the program talking about that. And if you guys missed that, it's one of those stories that, like, if you're a fan of a band, you hope that the band actually is, a good people, and to find out they're good people, Addison, I saw Fish, and I'm not a jam band guy. Use your imagination. If anybody should understand why I would have been at a Fish concert, it would be you. I wasn't there for the music, put it that way. So on that. And Chicago Kristen, what are you talking about? Jam bands are not the best. Grateful Dead cannot stand. Dave Matthews is no longer a jam band. They were. That's why all the Fish folks hate them, because he stopped being a jam band. He became, in a way, bro rock, in a way, different situations. Fish, I can't stand. AOR, can't stand. Sorry, just not my cup of tea. I normally like everything, but I really just, can't do that on that. So congratulations to Emerson for that moment with Dave Matthews. That's very, very cool stuff. We were discussing what happened last night before we went on that 3-person tirade, that 3-guest tirade. But I don't know if the Dallas Stars have got anything left, to be quite honest. It's a 3-1 lead. As I mentioned earlier in the show, all 4 of the semifinals are 3-1. And this could be, it might be game 5, and that's it. It sure feels like it's Pacers, Thunder in the NBA Finals, and the Oilers and the Panthers are going to meet again for the Stanley Cup Finals. It sure feels like a rematch in 2.0 from last year. Maybe this is Edmonton's time, but they just found out that Hyman's out for the rest of the playoffs. That's a horrible break for them. He got hurt in the first period last night, and he will not be back. He's having surgery, so he is pretty much done for the playoffs. So, I mean, that's awful news for the Oilers, who obviously Zach Hyman's been a huge contributor to their run so far here in the postseason. And to have him be done stinks. He led the NHL in the playoffs for hits with 111, 5 goals, 5 assists. So, that's a horrible break for the Oilers, but it only really matters, I think, for the Stanley Cup Finals, not for this series. I think this series is pretty much over. I would love to be wrong about that. I have a small ticket on the Stars to win the Cup, but it's been all Oilers. It's been a very impressive performance out of this Edmonton club, and really it's the goaltending has been outstanding. Stuart Skinner has been absolutely everything I thought he was not. And he's been everything for that roster. He's been everything for that team. They've been absolutely tremendous with that. There is day baseball going on at the moment. Let me quickly take a look at the scoreboard here because, 4-4 Red Sox and the Milwaukee Brewers. Because I think the Mets lost today. Mets are down 7-3 to the White Sox in the bottom of the 6th inning. That's absolutely embarrassing. Unbelievable. You cannot lose to a 5-23 team. And I had done a parlay last night for the Mets, the Cubs, and the Diamondbacks. There's a plus 150 parlay. I hit that same parlay 2 nights earlier. So on Monday night, I hit it. So on Tuesday night, I'm sitting there going, all right, run it back. Let's do it again. The Cubs were down 3-2, or it's 2-2, and it went to the 11th inning. The Rockies scored in the top of the 11th, up 3-2. The Cubs come back, and they win 4-3. They walk it off. And I'm thinking, okay, we're good. We got Corbin Burns going for the Diamondbacks. The Pirates can't score. The Pirates haven't scored. They just wrapped up a 29-game stretch, I believe it was, where they didn't score more than 4 runs in a game. Nearly a month where they scored 5 or more in a game. Like they scored 8 a couple days ago, but it was embarrassing for their offense. Corbin Burns is up 6-2, gave up 2-run home run, 6-2. They're rolling. They hand the ball off to the bullpen, and they got destroyed. They gave up 7 unanswered runs and lost the game 9-6. They killed my parlay. So I don't know what to make of what is going on here for today, but the Mets are down. I didn't mind running it back and betting it again today, but in terms of where this game, baseball day is, it's a little bit wonky so far. If the Mets are going to lose at home, Red Sox are tied 4-4. Like I mentioned, it's 7-3. Dodgers are up 4-2, but bottom of the 8th, bases loaded and nobody out for the Guardians. So the Guardians looking to take the lead here. It's 4-3 Tigers in the top of the 8th, but the Giants have 2 on, 1st and 3rd, and nobody out. So some drama there. It's 2-2 Astros and the A's. That game currently in the top of the 5th with 1 out. It is a Paul Skeens day. So Pirates and the Diamondbacks, I would be a little careful of this. It's Zach Gallen, who has a 5.25 ERA, but like we know with Gallen, you want to bet him on the road, not at home. Zach Gallen has a 6.03 ERA at home, a 1-4 record, opposing batting average of 272. He's given up 25 earned runs, 40 hits in 37 innings worth of work at home. Be careful with that. That's a danger spot. I mean, Paul Skeens, I know, and the Pirates have not been good. And Skeens, his overall, I mean, he's 3-5 with a 2.36 ERA. The team has lost 4 of the last 6 starts for Paul Skeens. They did win the last one, 6-5 in extras against Milwaukee. That snapped a 4-game losing streak, though, for the Pirates in games started by Paul Skeens. And then he beat the Dodgers back on the 25th of April, 3-0. So it hasn't really been his fault. He hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs in a single game since the 8th of April. So, I mean, Paul Skeens has been mowing teams down, and someone speculated that it was because of the trade talk that was going on around Paul Skeens. But, you know, Paul Skeens right now looks like, I mean, you know, Ben Cherington came out and killed that and said, we're not trading him. So everybody needs to stop. So on that. So that was, that stunk. Like, to lose that parlay last night, that was like, come on, man. It's why I don't like betting parlays. But that was extraordinarily frustrating to see that and how that whole thing went down. Because to me, there was no reason for that parlay to miss. That parlay should have hit back-to-back days. Because after I got the Cubs, it's like, come on. I got the Cubs. I got the miracle. You can't have it be on this happen. And then absolutely it happened. There is no Dave, so there is no better to book it per se, but I'll still give you the play. I'll say this on behalf of one Mr. Coach Young. He agrees with me. Blowout. OKC has blown out opponents a ton this year with double-digit wins, nearly, I think it's 61 now, double-digit wins at home for OKC here this season. When they've been favored by 7 points or more in the playoffs, they're 6-2. They're favored by 8 or 8.5. I don't get the play on this. I don't understand why folks are thinking that it's going to be Ant and he's going to bounce back. I just think defensively, OKC is the better team. They've got too many defensive weapons to deploy against Anthony Edwards, and there's nobody else really that's going to be able to step up consistently to have a big enough game to keep the T-Wolves in this game. Under 106.5 team total. If you want something else, that's a good bet. Okay. I like that play. I was on a live stream yesterday and talked about it, how I think that defensively here, if we're going to cover the 8.5, I do not see, unless the Thunder score 149 points again, which they have done in the playoffs at home, unless they have that type of offensive performance, I don't think you're going to see the T-Wolves score more than 106 points tonight. So I like the team total under as well. But I think the best play here from a better to book a standpoint, the best play is to lay the 8.5 with the Thunder. Thunder, double-digit, big win here today. They punched their ticket to the NBA Finals. This is going to be, as you heard Coach Young say, coronation. This is a rollout. This is a gut punch type of performance here. And again, I just don't trust Anthony Edwards to have a big game. Second bet, Hurricanes money line. I think they're going to stay alive tonight. I think that building is full of a lot of prideful Hurricane fans. I know they're down 3-1. I don't think they win game 6 in Florida, but I do think they're going to force it. I think you could parlay the two if you want or bet them separately. I think under 5.5 is a decent play. I think you're going to get the best defensive effort out of the Hurricanes tonight. I think this is a grinder, a 2-1, 3-2 type hockey game. This is playoff hockey. I don't believe they get bounced at home. We saw it earlier in the series where Florida scored 3 goals in the first period and just completely jumped the Hurricanes. I don't think they're going to be flat-footed with their lives on the line tonight. I'll take the Hurricanes at plus money. I got plus 105. It's even money now, or even you're laying juice at some books for the Hurricanes here to come back. I think the Hurricanes do wind up winning this game tonight to stay alive. Don't take it in regulation, but that's a play if you want to go ahead and take off, your more plus money. I'll take the overtime if I need it, but Hurricanes to stay alive tonight to beat the Florida Panthers. Again, I do think Florida wins the series, but I think tonight being at home is a big advantage for the Hurricanes, given the way they play defensively, having, forcing the long change for Florida. I think you see the Hurricanes win this game, but 2-0, 3-1. This is a high scoring game. I think dead I think the Hurricanes are dead if this happens. They're not going to be able to do that. And then finally, I'm going to go to a team total here for a game that has not started yet. This game will start tonight in Kansas City. It's a 7:40 Eastern time start between the Reds and the Royals. Cameron against Hunter Green. Hunter Green's been better at home than on the road, but he hasn't been bad. He's 4-2 with a 2.54 ERA. Noah Cameron is a youngster who has pitched pretty well since getting the ball from the Royals. But this team for the Reds has been red hot offensively. They scored 6 runs against the Cubs, then 6 runs against the Cubs, then 8 runs against the Cubs, then 7 runs against the Royals, and 7 runs against the Royals. That would be them scoring 5 straight games of going over 5 runs. The team total for the Reds today is 3.5. The total of the game is 7.5. Even with the starting pitcher for the Royals being good, the bullpen for the Royals being okay, I think we get 4 runs out of the Reds today. It could be a 4-3 final. That's really possible. We know the Royals can't score. I just think the Reds are going to score over 4 runs today. Keep this streak going, and I think they score 4 runs, and it could be with the long ball. Weather's going to be nice in Kansas City tonight. Reds team total over 3.5. It's probably 125, somewhere in there, 120, 125, 130 for the price coming up on that for that. So OKC minus 8.5, Hurricanes money line, and Reds over 3.5 team total for the Royals tonight with baseball if you would want it. I do have a prop bet for you guys. All right, BvB prop bet of the day. We're going to stay right there in OKC and talk about what Jalen Williams has done for this roster. And Jalen Williams, when it comes to this prop, points, rebounds, and assists, have been pretty good. Now, last game it was set at 31.5. He came up with 42. He scored 34 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. In game 3, it was 31.5. He went under 19. He had 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. But that snapped a streak of 3 straight games going over points, rebounds, and assists. That goes all the way back to the Denver series. 29.5, 36, 30.5, 32, 31.5, 41, and then last game 31.5, 42. We're now being set at 32.5 for points, rebounds, and assists. Most books have now moved it to 33.5. Okay, so this moved, when I bet this at 32.5, this has now moved up to 33.5. I still don't hate it. I still don't hate going. I still would bet over on 33.5 for Jalen Williams. I think he's going to have a big game scoring the basketball, passing the basketball. Again, I think this is going to be a blowout, and I think you're going to see a lot of points being scored. Excuse me, by the Thunder. Sorry, by the Thunder. So you have 128. You've got 101, 118, 114 scores by the Thunder here. I think they're going to score 120 here today. I think Jalen Williams has a big game, both shooting and rebounding the basketball. Over 32.5 is what I played. I don't hate if we jump in here with 33.5 as well for Jalen Williams of the Thunder tonight up against that. Royals team total unders is not horrible. That's not awful. So you can go ahead and do that. But prop bet of the day, OKC's Jalen Williams going ahead on that. Time for the news of the I was supposed to tell Emerson that he is mentioned on that graphic on our spinning fun newspaper. It says on the left-hand side about Emerson's love of hot dogs. So I forgot to tell him that. So if you're watching still, Emerson, there you go. You can see that Sonic wanted me to tell you that you are part of that. We have been talking about sports betting being banned for everything for a really long time on this show. And this is somewhat of a new one in terms of what we're going to say is the reason for sports betting being negative. New study. Legal online sports betting leads to more binge drinking among young men. This is real. This is not fake. This is real. That this is actually a thing that has happened here. I don't know what to make of something like this. Because as we know, when you're watching games, drinking and watching games somewhat go hand in hand. If we watch games longer because we have money on the game, chances are we would drink a bit more. Like the logic there kind of tracks, right? University of Cincinnati conducted a research study that found that the legalization of online sports betting has increased binge drinking among young men by approximately 10%. The effect was limited to alcohol. There is no other impact on smoking cigarettes or marijuana use, which I find to be kind of interesting. I don't know if I really look at that. The researchers analyzed data from the CDC's Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, covering from 2016 to 2023. And they simply compared substance use patterns between states that legalized sports betting and those that didn't, which means there could be other reasons for why guys are drinking more. And maybe sports betting is not the culprit. Among men aged 35 years or under, states with legalized online sports betting saw binge drinking increase. The study shows young men average 4.5 binge drinking occasions per month. And the research found that an increase of 0.46 occasions, representing a 10% jump in those states that had legalized sports betting. The effect was stronger for online betting than retail sports books, which I find equally interesting. The authors note that while retail sports betting effects, quote, seem to dissipate after certain periods of elevation, of elevation, I don't know what that means, of elevation of binge drinking, the effects of online access do not fade even after 5 years of access. Okay. The authors point out that several previous studies indicate that gambling is more concentrated among young men aged 35 and under, and the demographic has shown higher rates of both problem gambling and binge drinking. The study found no similar effect among young women, however, or any other age or gender. The authors were careful not to speculate about why betting leads to more binge drinking. Is betting the culprit, or is this just an anecdotal connection? They acknowledge their analysis captures only the initial years following sports betting legalization, so longer-term effects remain uncertain. They also note that the data relies on self-reported behaviors, which may understate true consumption levels. Or maybe they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Or maybe they're just basically making it up. Like, there's cause and effect to a lot of things, and that's the problem with data, right? That's a problem with studies. It's the problem with math. You can make it say some things that you want it to say at times. If you're trying to see it a certain way, well, okay, did we look at any other commonalities between the states? Like, could there have been any other issue? Was there any other thing going on? Was it economics? Was it lack of college education? Did they raise something or lower something? Did they do something else that caused? Is it always just sports gambling? Are we always going to blame betting for anything that happens that's negative? And these states legalized, so there's 10% more binge drinking going on between, men 21 to 35. It's betting's fault. It is amazing how quickly we want to have this be a scapegoat and be an explanation. Like, I get it. We have one of my friends is currently setting up a whole company around the pushing of sports gambling and gambling on youth in America. He has worked in the casino industry for a very long time, and he is now going into helping young men, what he thinks is a plague in the biggest social crisis, health crisis of his time involving young men. I would tend to disagree with that. I don't think sports gambling is the biggest health crisis of my time for young men, but it's definitely an issue. It's definitely a problem. And we need to have these things be acknowledged and talked about. But it feels very convenient. That's all I have to say. It feels very convenient that, like, we're going to go ahead and blame sports gambling and now being blamed for binge drinking. I don't know about you guys, but sports gambling wasn't legal when I was in college. I both sports bet and binge drinked in college. I was 18. I wasn't supposed to drink, but I drank a lot. I was 18 and legalization of sports gambling was not a thing in college, but I bet in college. I did them both. Underage, even when it wasn't legal. So, like, this idea that, like, we're drinking more because gambling is legal, come on, guys. Like, well, like, what are we doing? Like, come off of it. Not buying it. Time for Otani Watch. So Otani is doing Otani things, and he's quotes like this. Otani is the first to hit 20 home runs in the 2025 season. No shock. Dodgers playing right now. I don't believe Otani has hit a home run today yet. He does stuff that no normal human being can do. Like we all have acknowledged that for a long time, right? That Otani he's on a different planet for so many different reasons. But now Otani is pitching. Otani is throwing to live batters. Like, this is kind of nuts. He's going to pitch. And I've been watching a bunch of MLB experts talk about what to do with Otani. Because if he is going to be a pitcher, what type of pitcher do you want him to be? Because I, like others, have said, well, why doesn't he go like the John Smoltz route, where you can go ahead and have him be in the lineup, and then after the 8th inning, you put him in the game to close the game out. You have him be the ultimate closer. And then he doesn't have to do both. He's not hitting and pitching at the same time. So we've tried to eliminate that when it comes to the National League, right? We want a DH, he's just a hitter. And a pitcher, he's just a pitcher. So the National League, that was always a big argument when I grew up. Oh, it's real baseball. National League is real baseball. American League, that's not real baseball. American League, you guys play this like Mickey Mouse, like wiffle ball type stuff, right? Like our pitchers hit. We do the double switch, right? We have managers that actually know the game. I was told this my whole life. I laughed at all this. I was like, okay, guys, sure, whatever. I'm a Red Sox fan. So I like the DH. I'm like, why do I want to play with 24 outs? That's dumb. Like, I want to play with a full complement of outs, 27 outs, not 24. So now Otani, who's been a starting pitcher, okay? He's been a very good starting pitcher, Cy Young caliber starting pitcher, is coming off Tommy John. So what do you do with him? Do you have him be a starter that comes in here and throws 5-6 innings, and then maybe the next day is exhausted? Or maybe you have him come in as a reliever in high leverage situations in big moments of a game, 7th, 8th inning, whatever it might be. Leave him in the game. Don't replace him. Let him hit. But now he's playing. Now he's a pitcher. Leave him right where he is at the top of the lineup. And now he's the pitcher. Like, that, I think, is a real possibility for the Dodgers. But I don't know if the Dodgers think that, because he's never done it. So, like, if you're worried about a guy doing things he has never done before and getting re-injured, you probably don't want him to be a reliever. You probably only want him to be a closer or be a starter, because that's what he's used to doing. He's used to being a starter. He has a routine, how he gets ready for a start, and he goes out there and throws 80, 90, 100 pitches, and then he's done. So that I can't wait to see how the Dodgers look to implement him, because he's throwing side sessions. He's throwing to live batters. He's ramping up. The Dodgers have slow played this, but they have so many pitchers who are hurt again. I mean, the Dodgers have like this dream 8-man rotation if they had everybody healthy, but they never do. They're always hurt. Like, it's just, they're always trying to patchwork the quilt together with really good arms and really expensive arms, but they're never like, here's our full complement of who we signed to pitch for us. So they need Otani to start. I mean, in reality, like you could say, like right now with the rotation, Otani would be a welcome addition to the rotation. But come the postseason, would it be better just to have him throw right as a reliever? I mean, I don't know. That's where I would go and have him do. Somebody was asking for a scoreboard update. Let's see. It's still 4-4. Dodgers 7-4 Guardians. Wow. What a big inning for the Guardians. Guardians scored 5 in the 8th on the Dodgers. Oh boy. All right. There's that bullpen. There we go. There's the bullpen again. It's like, hey, I don't know. I'd go ahead and roll him with. I still think Otani being a closer is a really, really good idea to me personally. If I was gonna use him, I'd have Otani be a closer. But 20 home runs already for Otani. Nothing today, but now they're down 7-4 after blowing a 4-2 lead on the road to Cleveland. The Guardians, their offense comes to life in a big way coming up today when they desperately needed it to get a W after losing the first 2 games of that series to the Dodgers. Watch your speakers, boys and girls. Time for the Brigade Proxy Service Pro Football Story of the Day. By the way, we have signed people up it is happening. You guys can text us. Text line is on the number rolling underneath us, or you can text us here at 702-570-8255 to set up your appointments with us for the Brigade Proxy Service. But that is going on, and we will be talking at some point, I think soon. Benson's on vacation this whole week, so Jeffrey Benson of Cirque. At some point, we'll bring Benson back on to have a conversation because they've started a new contest. It's a $100,000 contest with Circa. 100,000 winner take all Survivor contest with the Circa Survivor. Hello. So there's that. There's also 15 million available for the Circa Survivor this year, 6 million again for Circa Millions. So they've upped the guarantee in one of the two. Millions now 15 million available, which is unbelievable for how much money that's going to be available for that. Our Brigade Proxy Service NFL story, pro football story of the day. I'm kind of mad that Dave's not here. We may need to talk about this again tomorrow because this is quite funny. Because Terry Bradshaw is blasting the Steelers for even thinking about Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. Called it a joke. He called it a joke that the Steelers are even considering bringing in Aaron Rodgers to play quarterback. Look, this is wild because obviously Terry is still beloved in Pittsburgh. And obviously, Terry is a guy that people are going to stick microphones in front of because he's doing a pregame show still. So now this Hall of Fame quarterback saying, quote, I liked Kenny Pickett. He told 103.7 The Buzz in Pittsburgh. I liked him at Pitt. We all know that Kenny Pickett wasn't good. I know him. I know what he's like. When they got him to Pittsburgh, they didn't protect him. They didn't get him an offensive line. They wanted to run the football, but they didn't have an offensive line that could protect and didn't have any weapons. That's true. He had no wide receivers to speak of. Then they throw a kid in there for 2 years, and you've got an offense that doesn't fit and doesn't work. They can't run because their offensive line not even good enough for a run blocking team. Now they're saying Kenny Pickett's a failure. He wasn't a failure. The Steelers were a failure. When asked about Aaron Rodgers coming in, who remains unsigned, and the team does not have a quarterback other than Mason Rudolph, he said, quote, that's a joke. That to me is just a joke. What are you going to do? Bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? That guy needs to stay in California. Go somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there. That's Terry Bradshaw's opinion of Aaron Rodgers. Which is great. Roger Long says, I agree with Terry Bradshaw. I don't know. I don't think he's wrong. I think there's a lot of people that are frustrated in Pittsburgh that we're sitting here after Memorial Day and we don't have a starting quarterback other than Mason Rudolph for the Steelers. And it's like everyone's assuming it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. Everyone's assuming that he's going to sign with the team. But Bradshaw, the numbers are there. It's a good point. He is a Super Bowl champ. You can't refute that. He will get a ring on opening night. That is true. Kenny Pickett is a champion. That is absolutely, he didn't play, but he is absolutely a champion with the Eagles. That's true. I think in the long term, Bradshaw's right. In the long term, you're only delaying the inevitable where the Steelers, are still without their franchise quarterback. Who is going to be the next guy? They have not replaced Ben Roethlisberger. Since Big Ben left, they've had a revolving door of quarterbacks to come in. Some of it to do with the wide receivers, and they brought in DK Metcalf. Why? I don't really know, because they need a quarterback to throw the ball to him unless they really believe that Mason Rudolph is the guy. I don't think that they do. And they're in a really hard division where we know the Bengals offense is going to be trying to put up a ton of points. They're not going to play any defense next year, especially if Henderson is out and leaves. They are going to have a real tough time stopping anybody in Cincinnati. It's going to be all offense. And the Steelers defense is great. I'll give it to you, but can you score on anyone? So, and the Ravens are going to be even better. I mean, again, the Ravens are led by one of the best quarterbacks in the division, in the league. Great defense that's gotten better with the draft picks they have made. We'll do our, 30 teams in 30 days for the NFL. That's coming up later on this summer. But, I think that there's a lot of questions going on right now. Terry is a donkey. Some people don't like him. Steeler fan, I agree with Bradshaw. A lot of Steeler fans agree with Bradshaw. I think there's a lot of Steeler fans that are extremely frustrated with the way the team has approached the quarterback spot over the last 4 to 5 seasons. And I don't think it's wrong. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is a joke. I think you could talk about other quarterbacks. I mean, do you want Aaron Rodgers or do you want Kirk Cousins? Like, who do you want? If you're a Steeler fan, like, who do you want playing quarterback with this offense, with a coach who's very conservative? Like, Mike Tomlin's not going out there and throwing the ball 50 times a game, right? So they want to run the ball and play defense. So a lot of the quarterback spot is a game manager, and Rodgers can manage a game. Like, there's no debate that Aaron Rodgers knows the position. He's not going to drop back and throw for 300 yards a game, but they don't want him to. So in some ways, it's a match made in heaven. But yeah, look, the Will Howard thing, Roger, on draft day, I couldn't believe the pop that kid got. They love him. I mean, they're so psyched to have Will Howard. Maybe they think they got something in him, but you can't play him right away. I mean, that's how long, game 9, 10. I mean, you play Will Howard in 25, it's a lost season. Like, you play Will Howard when you're like 2-8. That's when Will Howard plays. He doesn't play right away. He doesn't play when the season's still got something to play for. You don't play Will Howard then. Next year, maybe he's the guy. And you do kind of the Drake May thing with the Patriots did with Drake May, where like you roll out a veteran that you know, Jacoby Brissett, you know the veteran's not going to be there, right? The veteran's not the guy. And so you have him lose 4 or 5 games, and then you put him in, you know, after you're 0-1 and 5, 0 and 6, whatever. Then you go ahead and play the rookie, the kid. But Drake May was a top 3 draft pick. Like, Drake May was the heir apparent. Will Howard is a late round pick. You're hoping this kid can play. You don't know what the kid can play. Yes, he won the national championship. Yes, he played great for Ohio State. Yes, the other kid they drafted out of Ohio State is like his best friend. So they're all in love with that. Okay, sure. But Will Howard is an NFL quarterback. Big question marks. Big question marks on that kid. So I wouldn't be, you know, putting all my eggs in that basket if I was looking at it that way. So time for one more segment. Our favorite thing about today. Favorite thing about today. Well, look, that show flew. I can't believe we're an hour and 40 in. That show flew. I don't know. Maybe I can do an hour 40. I can talk. I don't think, well, the 3 guests really helped. So that was, I mean, favorite thing about today is we got the show up and running. Okay. That's my favorite thing about today. Dave hopefully is back tomorrow, and then the show is back on track. And then I'll let him explain what he wants to say, if at all, as to what's going on. And then we will roll hopefully for a couple of more shows, and we'll see what happens. I am incredibly grateful to you guys for being here. I'm incredibly grateful for you guys on the Discord channel and to be around and being a part of this. As we go through the summer, I hope you guys will stick around on the days that I do this, which is going to be occasionally as we go forward. There may be days where Dave has to go do stuff, and so I'm going to be doing the show solo. We know we can do it. This was a test run just to see if I could do the show solo. It can work. You know, this is something that is different. And as I said at the top of the show, what makes this show different is that Dave and I complement each other in really fun ways. And so I've done radio solo. I've done content solo for a very long time. So can I do this? Yes. Is it as good? I would disagree and say no. I have had people in my life, in my career, tell me that I should go back to doing solo content because I can dictate, I can set everything up the way I want it to be set up, and I can just roll and say the things that need to be said. But oftentimes when that happens, in my opinion, sure, I can set bonfires. And for my career, my bosses loved the fact that I could bomb throw with the best of them. My bosses loved the fact that I could get people riled up, phone lines full. It's what I did. But getting out of that and going and starting BvB showed me a whole different way of doing content, showed me a whole different avenue of positivity and not living in the bomb throwing world and getting away from that. And it's my natural default that like when you talk about like the manufacturer settings of Matt Perrault, like if you went ahead and said, okay, we're going to do a total hard reset of me, you're going to go back to somebody who literally is programmed to fight verbally, somewhat physically at times, but mostly verbally. And so that's just who I've been. And so if you've watched my Twitter account since 2007, when my Twitter account started, Twitter was like the worst thing ever invented for someone like me, because I can fight with anyone. Like I can fight with anyone and everyone. And so I get instant access to brawl, media members. I read stupid comments. I read dumb takes. I run, idiotic postings, whatever. Catnip for me. Just the last 3 years has been much different. And I think that there's been a lot of growth in me, and mostly that's thanks to Dave, and that's thanks to this show. That's thanks to the audience. That's thanks to you guys who have taught me, who have mellowed me out, my daughter as well, and factoring into that. But I'm not going to say this show is going to be better without Dave. That's not even close to being true. So when it's just me, just know that this is me just kind of keeping this, we're just keeping it rolling. We're doing content for content's sake, and then getting Dave back in here. I hope Dave is back. If he's not, I'll be back. I'll be here doing the show tomorrow. We'll be on Thursday and Friday. There will be shows Thursday and Friday. Hopefully Dave's back with me tomorrow, but if for some reason he's not, you will get a version of BvB, just not the actual version you guys are very much used to seeing. But I do thank you. My favorite thing about today, you guys watching, being a part of this show. Until tomorrow, my name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all my socials at Sports Talk Matt. Thursday, BvB. Tomorrow, same place, same time. And when I'm hosting, it is kind of like on the nose. There's not a lot of ish time when it comes to me. We'll be on pretty much 2:30 Eastern or 2:15 Eastern every single day for the Bostonian versus the Book.